If you are the team that you think you are, this is not the kind of game you can lose. You have to win a game like this. And they did.
Yep.
And it wasn't pretty. Now, Tausch, you said something about Love's carelessness with the football. And I thought you had a really interesting observation as we were prepping for today's show. Is throwing into triple coverage, regardless of whether or not Jayden Reed comes down with the football, also careless?
I still don't know how that Rams safety didn't just go pick the ball off. Like, his spatial awareness, I gave Musgrave a lot of grief last year about kind of looking like a fawn when he would, I don't know where the ball is. And, oh, boy, yesterday I thought, triple coverage, he's going to pick it off. And somehow the one DB for the Rams plays it great. It grazes over his fingertip, and the other guy looks like I don't know what the hell he was doing. Jayden Reed stayed with it, made an unbelievable catch on it, but that was a ball that should not have been thrown, right?
No, it shouldn't have, and so it leads to this question because, look, he was fantastic during the second half of last season until the last pass of last season, which was, again, first down, scrambling late across the middle, across his body, into triple coverage, intercepted, and season's over. So is Jordan Love channeling a little too much of the guy whose jersey he wore into Lambeau Field last week?
I'll say this. He is looking less like Aaron Rodgers on a pretty consistent basis. Now, again, last week, I give him a pass. I thought last week was just go grit it, gut it out. It was a unique, kind of a unicorn game where
everything except the last pick I give him a pass on. He knows better than that.
Well, I'm just saying, I think you fall behind 28-0, you have to start taking, not many games is he going to throw it 50-some-odd times. And was he careless with it? Yeah, he was a little bit, but one of the interceptions was just a drop and, however you want to look at it. Yesterday, that was Favre. That was Favre to a T. Didn't recognize, just throw the ball out of bounds. A lot of stuff happens when you get drilled and the panic starts hitting you. It was not his best, but he has been more careless with the football than I've seen a quarterback in Green Bay in a long time. Rodgers, you remember people would call it and say he's afraid to take chances.
Right. Doesn't want to throw interceptions and hurt his passer rating.
And by the way,
so he doesn't take chances.
Jason, you don't want to throw interceptions. So I never understood that because it wasn't like he wasn't threading needles and throwing balls behind, ear holes on defenders' helmets. And that was not it. Like, he wouldn't do that. Jordan has gotten a smidge careless with the football. Yesterday, obviously, that bore itself out. But were there any other throws yesterday? You mentioned the one that ended up being what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, my God, what a great play. That was an ill-advised throw. But outside of that, was the ball in harm's way? Any other throws yesterday?
Yeah, I haven't gone back and looked at all of his throws. He only threw the ball 26 times, which is literally half of what he threw last week.
Almost exactly half. So I think when you start looking at it, it is something to remind him that the ball is precious because you found a way to win, which is great. Had you lost this game, it would have been that play. And you never know when that play is going to be, but that would have been it. And that, along with these pre-snap penalties, I'm still super bullish because I think that stuff gets cleaned up. But if it doesn't, you're not beating anybody any good.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, it has to be zip, or this is who you are. And through 5 weeks, you're a team that turns the football over and is very sloppy pre-snap. You've also had some holdings. It seems like, the NFL stopped calling a ton of them, which has been great, by the way. I appreciate that. But also, guys have cleaned some stuff up and they figured some things out. So when it all comes to it, do I believe that Jordan Love is more Aaron Rodgers than Brett Favre when it comes to throwing picks? I do. Nobody is going to be Aaron Rodgers. He has set such a crazy standard for not yesterday, obviously, with against the Vikings.
Yeah, no.
But his time in Green Bay, those stats aren't going to be touched. We're not going to see guys throw 3 and 4 picks a season. He's going to throw more, but I still think it'll skew much more towards that than where some of the seasons Brett threw in the 20s. But Jordan has to tighten that up, and I think that's a Matt LaFleur, Tom Clements, like, all right, enough. Like, we got to be more careful with the football than what you've been doing.
So, I'm not saying he has turned before. I haven't looked in the YouTube comments, but before we turn this into something it's not, no one on this panel is suggesting that we are now going to be waiting for his 6-interception, 3-pick-6 playoff performance like the gunslinger once had, with Tausch getting 2 tackles in that game or 3.
I think officially 2. I also almost got my eye gouged out like Curly. Like,
hey,
I literally got my eye gouged out. I was just glad my optic nerve didn't get.
So we're not saying that that's on the horizon, but you hear me say it all the time. Growth is not linear. You heard us talk about this going into the season, that the defenses had a full year of film on him. They had a better idea of what he did well and what he didn't. He's dealing with his knee, which isn't 100%, but he is taking risks with the football that are uncharacteristic. That's why we're discussing this now, because I and many others believed he was already past this. He finished last season with, 1 interception?
Yeah,
in the last, 8 games?
Until the playoff game, yeah. Yep.
So, let's make sure we understand that the reason why this is a topic is because it feels out of character for him. And the underhanded Dan Quisenberry submarine interception from the back of the end zone.
I had more Kent Volke. Underhand.
Tucolvi.
I spelled things out.
Who was his catcher is the real question.
Sid Bream? No, not
he
Sid
played
Bream
first base. Yeah. We'll keep working on that. Jason Kendall? No.
Ron Prince?
He knows better than that. He said he was trying to throw it out of bounds, not trying to throw it to Tucker Kraft. I don't know, Jim, as Tony Romo might say.
Crazy things happen back there, though. I mean, you get it. You saw Orlovsky run out the back. Like, it's always crazy.
That would have been better.
Well, until it wasn't. Yeah, I get it. It was a boneheaded play. People make boneheaded plays.
That's my point, is that this is a guy who is still developing. And do I think that he's going to make this play a year from now, 2 years from now? No. I think he learns from his mistakes. I think this is a part of the maturation process. And you are seeing other guys that people thought had arrived that clearly have not. Remember when Deshaun Watson was awesome? Remember when people were really excited about Trevor Lawrence?
He took 2 seasons off. Trevor Lawrence had a monster day yesterday. He did.
Right, because growth is not linear. And he had a great day yesterday.
I love when you get caught up on something and you just pound it.
I just
pound it like a pork cutlet when you're trying to deep fry it. That's what you're doing right now.
Yes, at the concession stand. So I don't think this is a big deal, but he needs to be better. He knows he needs to be better.
I think it is a big deal if it doesn't get corrected.
Right, but I don't think it will go uncorrected.
That's why now, is there any Packer fan, and I don't know if we want to poll this. I'm certain you don't. He's skewing more Favrean or more Rodgers when it comes to turnovers?
Sounds like a great poll for Jesse to post from the account.
I think as we sit here right now, nobody is going to be Rodgers-esque when it comes to that. Just nobody is.
So do you agree that the triple coverage throw was also irresponsible?
I did not like it, until he caught it, because if that dude has... You think Xavier McKinney isn't picking that thing off?
He's definitely picking that off,
Now,
yes.
Xavier McKinney is a special talent, Charles Woodson-esque. So, Jason, you're hitting 50%.
Some might say.
You're 50% on your even-keeledness compared to, and then you compared Woodson. So you're 50%.
I think I explained my even-keeledness
privately.
You didn't.
No, privately you can, but you're not taking a W on the even-keeledness.
How about, can I take a W on Tucker Kraft?
So that's what I was going to get to, positives. Listen, Tucker Kraft, there ain't anybody been a bigger fan of a player than Tucker Kraft than me.
Jason Eck's a bigger fan of him.
Maybe. Jason Eck is the reason I'm a Tucker Kraft fan, by the way.
Great places, South Dakota.
He plays hard. He is, Romo was just salivating talking about Tucker Kraft yesterday with how he is a running back. And he does have that, he plays reckless. He finishes blocks. He has a chance to emerge as an elite tight end in this league We haven't had one of those in a while. Because even with J-Mike was an elite pass catcher. He wasn't uber
It was
interested.
not well-rounded.
He wasn't interested in cutting off. Tucker did some great work on backside yesterday at cutting stuff off. He is a full-on five-tool tight end. He can do everything you ask for from a tight end, right? So he is my positive for yesterday's game because he was a playmaker. The thing I worry about him, can he just stay healthy? Because he plays so hard, and he's been banged up. He's got a shoulder. He keeps coming back. I just hope that you don't have to win every war or every battle. Mm-hmm. So he's still young, and, man, he plays hard. I love everything about Tucker Kraft.
All right, so we've covered your positive and your negative, the low-hanging fruit of Jordan Love's irresponsibility with the football and Tucker Kraft's elite-level play.
So how about this? We do that dog of the game, right, in our post-game show.
Roll.
And I can't take the low-hanging fruit. I honestly yesterday took Xavier McKinney, and I had to backtrack because I felt disappointed in myself. I can't do that. Tucker's not the low. Xavier's the low-hanging fruit from yesterday's game.
Tucker Kraft was their leading
awesome.
receiver. He scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah.
He was really
McKinney, first time doing something in modern NFL history. I mean,
I believe that the branches of a tree can have multiple apples that are considered low-hanging.
And by the way, I changed to Carl Brooks, who had a sack and a half yesterday by BT Dub.
Did you change him as your sleeper of the week presented by Steinoffels?
No, I like the fact that we have our analytics for keeping us accountable. I don't understand why Jesse won. My guy had
Neither do I.
My guy had a bunch of yards. I think he was the most productive of our 3 that we picked. But I'm not going to fight those guys.
I think Bullard's name was mentioned once
Bullard
during the game,
especially when Evan Williams, aka Micah Hyde, showed up. Pretty special.
nice to see Micah Hyde and Chewy and all the gang out there.
So
Tell me
Jesse,
which ones of those are wrong.
On a poll,
Charles Woodson.
Well, I think. No offense to Chewy, Tucker Kraft's more athletic than Chewy, is he not?
I would agree. Yes.
So you might be.
He's passed him by.
So, are we concerned as a fan? Because every caller, I stayed for an hour and some change last night, and it felt like everybody that you're welcome. Everybody that called was more concerned than excited that we won the game.